first.
That's pretty funny. Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the Sneak Peek Podcast. I'll be your host today, Parker Lehman, in absence of Ethan Berman.
Yes.
And to my right, we have
Rohan Teradesai.
the lovely Rohan Teradesai and
Blake Bowserman.
Blake Bowserman.
Yes, not lovely.
Man, don't, come on. I'm trying to be a nice guy. All right, listen, we're going to talk about what we've been watching, what's been on our minds, what's been on our meteor radars. I guess I'll start. I watched Annihilation last night, and it was pretty dang cool. I got a lot of notes on it because it had so many layers to it. Like, but the only problem, I thought it was a fantastic movie. Only problem, Natalie Portman. I don't know if she's a strong enough leading lady in this. She kind of, rather than like, move with like the momentum, she kind of delivered all her lines with a sarcastic twinge to it.
Do you think she's like sort of lost her edge
I think
since Black Swan, perhaps?
Well, I think she's a kind of a child actor who grew up and remained in the business, so she's kind of like a Drew Barrymore or a Leo DiCaprio, where all the performances are kind of the same flavor,
Right.
They don't entirely disappear. So I guess that's what I'm referring to.
Interesting.
But yeah, other than that, the cinematography was incredible. The production design was crazy intricate, and it was really artful. And like, yeah, it was Gina Rodriguez also.
Oh, okay, cool. I like
from Jane the Virgin. You ever watched Jane the Virgin?
I have.
You have?
I have.
So from what I understand, it's like a primetime sitcom that's like kind of hacky, but she carries the whole thing. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's definitely the case.
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
I recommend Annihilation.
Nice. All right, and then for me, so as we've been watching over this past couple of podcasts, I know I haven't been here, but I've been watching good movies for like the first times ever. So like,
What?
I remember I watched E.T. a few weeks ago. I'm
Yeah,
sure you remember
E.T.,
that.
we all remember that.
Yeah, so this one I watched Goodfellas for the first time this week.
Oh, wow.
I really enjoyed it. Fantastic movie. Joe Pesci killed it because like I had never thought of him as intimidating before because he's like a 5'4" guy
like
with
a
a bad
little
haircut.
guy, yeah.
And I loved him in it. He was fantastic. My only complaint about the movie is that it made me like Wolf of Wall Street less because it was Wolf of Wall Street done better 23 years earlier.
You're right, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, though, loved the movie. Also saw Before Sunrise by Richard Linklater. Also good.
Interesting.
Yeah, so-
Linklater's inconsistent. That's the only thing. I liked what's that movie with Keanu Reeves is animated? Alex Jones is in it.
I have no clue.
Animated.
A Scanner Darkly. It's that
yeah,
movie.
gotcha.
Anyway, but yeah, those are pretty cool. I haven't seen that trilogy though.
I got
I'm
you.
told to check it out. What about you, Rohan?
Well, I've been playing sort of a movie and sort of a video game. I've been playing The Wolf Among Us, which is supposed to be a neo-noir.
I remember when PewDiePie played that.
He did play that,
Ah,
actually.
yes.
What was that, 2013?
It was about
I don't
like
know.
2014
I don't
or
follow
so.
PewDiePie.
I did long ago.
Yeah. But it just does a really great job for its cinematic moments, and it really engages you as an audience member.
It really does. They made the Walking Dead video games too,
did.
and I like their general
it all
storytelling.
Telltale?
Yeah,
Okay.
Telltale.
Yeah, Telltale.
I like their general storytelling style. It's real gritty and nice. Good
And
writing.
recently I found out that the second season, which has been in production for the last like 4 or 5 years, is coming out this year.
Cool.
I'll be chomping at the bit for that one. That's a wolf joke.
There you go. I like it.
Okay, anyway, yes, let's get to the news, the news. All right, first in the news, as always, is the box office and what brought in the big bucks and what underperformed. So here we go. In first place was Ready Player One, making $41 million over the 3-day weekend.
Yes.
Out of nowhere, coming in second place was Tyler Perry's latest film. That's what it's called. It's called Tyler Perry's latest film.
I don't think that's what it's called.
Okay, it's called Tyler Perry's Acrimony.
There we go, yeah.
And it came in with $17 million. And third place, of course, Black Panther, still remaining in the top 5. And then the faith-based film I Can Only Imagine, still raking up those endless bucks off of exploiting poor Christians. And then,
What a great day to say that on.
exactly, Happy Easter, everybody.
And Passover.
Leave them alone. And then finally, Pacific Rim Uprising rounds out the top 5.
Now, fun note for you real quick. Do you know what acrimony is?
No, I don't know what that
It's where you
means.
pay alimony from very high up.
Oh, really?
Yes, acrimony.
That sounds awful.
I mean, you just dump it out of a plane. When you have Tyler Perry money, you can do that.
What are you, D.B. Cooper? Come on.
Yes, I am.
Come on,
We were
look.
discussing this before the podcast. D.B. Cooper.
DB, yeah, I remember that guy. Listen, what do you think about the box office? I think Ready Player One, I expected it to make more than 41 million, you know, especially since spring numbers have been so high. Pretty much ever since The Winter Soldier came out, the spring and March and April have become more of a hotbed for blockbusters.
I think in sort of its marketing, the whole like virtual reality kind of genre. I mean, Ready Player One's based off a book, but there have been countless medias where they've explored that idea to so many ends, and I think
Yeah, pretty
Ready
much.
Player One is also like sort of a product of its era, in the fact that
That's a very astute observation.
simply because if I'm a kid born in say 2005, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get the references made back in the 80s. I'm not gonna get the Speed Racer
oh,
references.
hell, well,
Actually,
no.
when we're going to talk more about
We're
this
going to
later.
get to Ready
Yeah.
Player One.
yeah.
I do agree with you, but as far as its box office performance, this seems like something that'd be more of a blockbuster, make a little bit more, like upwards of like 70 million, something like that.
I think what it is for that is I know more so than any movie I've seen recently, people were always telling me like I want to wait and see what others say about it first. Like it seemed like such a divisive movie in terms of like what people were expecting from it. So I think a lot of people might be waiting to see it, or it might just be that people aren't going to see it either way.
It might have seemed intimidating because when
Yeah.
you see that trailer, there's so much shit going on that some people
Van
might
Halen's
struggle
in the
to
background.
Yeah, Van Halen and everything, and like people might struggle to see what actually connects it. Like I imagine a 70-year-old seeing it and going, "What? What did any of that mean?" So I
would've
think
been
it might
40
have
in the
restricted
80s,
its
it makes
audience.
sense,
Well,
yeah.
maybe, I don't know.
I got you. No, that makes sense.
But at any rate, okay, let's move on to the next item of news.
Yes.
Taika Waititi, director of Thor Ragnarok and What We Do in the Shadows, has a new film with Scarlett Johansson. And I'm gonna tell you about it as soon as I find my place in this paragraph.
Okay.
The premise is an interesting one, this paragraph says.
Indeed, it does.
It's
Okay.
telling me what to think about it.
Oh, all right.
It must not be that great.
Well, I mean, we don't know that.
Oh, hang on.
Read the
This
rest of
film
it.
follows a young boy in 1930s Germany who, after the passing of his father, decides to join Hitler's youth.
Oh dear.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Only to later discover that his mother, played by Johansson, is secretly hiding a Jew. All this going with Waititi playing the child's imagined manifestation of Hitler. This is surely to spark some controversy, it says. So what are you guys' thoughts on the premise, as well as Taika Waititi and Hitler?
Well,
What do you think of Hitler?
I mean, I'm
Never
gonna say-
mind.
Okay, I'm gonna say our opinions of him are negative, but
Of course.
I need
Yeah.
to confirm something.
I'm
for
just
me.
kidding.
I need
What?
to confirm something. I just want to be sure. So Taika Waititi is not a large rock monster. Is that correct?
No, he's not.
Okay, because that's the only thing I've seen him as.
That
I
was a
assume-
one-time thing.
okay.
He went super method. He started eating pebbles off the
Yes.
ground.
He ate nothing but fruity pebbles for like 14
Fruity
years.
Pebbles.
Yes.
Yeah, that's that guy. What do you guys think? Do you think he can pull off subject matter like this in this day and age when Nazis are on people's minds? You know, that word gets tossed around constantly. So, do you think the public will be accepting of a dark comedy of this flavor?
Oh, it's a dark comedy.
Well, clearly it's a dark comedy. That's what he does.
Well, I think that's one thing you could talk about being interesting too, is that Taika Waititi does push the limits of like the existing mediums. Like he took a
Yes, he does.
He took a Marvel film and he made it into a straight up comedy. That's
made
what
it great.
Yeah, he made it great. So, like, I don't know how he's gonna do with this. I feel like this is something that's very hard to be funny about. But I'm interested to see what he tries to do with it, because like every movie that I've seen from him has surprised me. So I don't
Yeah.
know whether I'm gonna like it or not, but I think it's gonna be something interesting either way.
I, for one, trust Taika Waititi.
Okay.
I kind of want to like sort of research what kind of mood he was in when he wrote this,
It probably, I don't know.
because I had gone to see a play at UT, Richard Schenken's Building the Wall, and it really felt a lot of like the themes and everything were really heavy-handed and just kind of like served to you and like
Oh, okay.
forced
yeah.
down your throat. Like, here it is. Here's the metaphor. Take it.
Well, the only
with it.
moral lesson that you can teach with a story like this is that Hitler was bad.
Yes.
So I don't think it's going to be a moral thing. It's probably just, I trust him. I think he's dealt
Yeah.
with dark comedy before, and we'll just see how it goes down.
It'll
It's got
really
Scarlett Johansson.
It'll really depend on like how well the actors are able to perform.
Absolutely. And on a darker note, we've had a death in the film industry.
Did we? Who was it?
Yes, it is Warner Brothers' credibility.
Oh, okay.
Because according to them, the new Joker origin film is a prequel to The Dark Knight.
I'm okay with it.
You
Why?
Well, here's my reason why. I'm an optimist. That's it.
Jesus Christ. Look, man, I don't even know where to begin with this. Because, you think, okay, The Dark Knight is probably one of the greatest movies ever made. If you look at cultural impact and if you look at, crowd-pleasing elements and everything. For one, it used to be my favorite movie of all time. It's just gotten bumped down over the years. But you know, if they're going to make a prequel to The Dark Knight, I imagine that they're going to put it in the most credible of hands so as not to sully the material. So, Warner Brothers has announced that Todd Phillips, director of the Hangover trilogy and Old School, will be directing the prequel film.
But it is produced by Martin Scorsese, so it's got that.
I don't care.
All right.
I don't care whose name they attach to it. They're probably paying him.
What if they put Nolan on it? What if they had done that?
Well, they put Nolan on Man of Steel, and that didn't necessarily work out
Nolan
either.
did Man of Steel?
Nolan wrote the story and executive produced Man of Steel. So I don't think it means anything that Martin Scorsese's sitting in a folding chair on set sipping coffee. He's like, yeah, that works. I don't think he gives a shit about the Joker origin film.
Now, what if he was playing the Joker? Martin Scorsese.
He's
I'd
more like a
rather Tommy
penguin,
Wiseau
isn't he?
at that point play the Joker.
Tommy Wiseau. I think Tommy Wiseau should get fat and play the Penguin for the new Batman. That's just
That'd be
that's
great.
just a
Well,
theory.
anyway,
But look,
so,
this is serious shit. All right, we got to talk about this because it says here, the film takes place 20 years before Batman Begins and will feature how the clown prince of crime came to be. So now it's asking us what we think.
At this point, given the people...
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? I just realized what it is.
What?
In The Dark Knight, right? The Joker. He's like, do you want to know how I got these scars? And he tells like 3 separate stories.
Yes.
And the terror of the character
Is that they're all
comes from the
fake?
fact that we don't know where the fuck he got the scars. So now they're going to tell us how he got his scars.
Now, see, here's one thing I think would make it all right. Here's something I would love to see. Is I want none of those things to be true. That he was just lying. He was just nuts. However, I feel like one thing that's subtly alluded to throughout the film, I think he has military experience. I think he was somebody who was dealing with PTSD and something like that. So if you could address that in a new way, because I know he talks about like soldiers being blown up in Iraq, his experience in like military drill and all that kind of stuff. So if you look at it from that way, I think it might be an interesting take. What do you think on that?
I think there's the whole legacy of the Joker. And Heath Ledger's
okay,
impersonation.
Parker?
Yeah, it's a
I'm
really
fine.
stressful like
I
thing.
hope I'm not annoying you.
No, it's
just
not
that
you.
It just feels like this shouldn't be the platform.
It feels
for
like
that.
it feels like they just jumped the shark in terms of what they can do with superhero movies, what they can do with franchises at all. The Dark Knight, as soon as it came out, everything tried to be the Dark Knight. Fantastic Four tried to be the Dark Knight. Fucking.
Well, no, I mean,
Now we're revisiting and pulling directly from The Dark Knight to try and replicate the lightning in the bottle, box office wise and critically, and it's not going to fucking happen. People need to stop trying to remake The Dark Knight. I'm
well,
tired of it.
I think that's a fair point in that, like, I don't agree with the idea, but I'm willing to give it a chance. At least, like, I want to see what they do with it. I'm probably not going to like it.
It's just hallowed ground at this point.
It is, especially since he died.
Yeah,
The
right
guy
after.
died. Heath Ledger is dead, Warner Brothers. Leave him alone.
I mean, they're not getting Heath Ledger.
I know they're not, but it's his character.
I disagree.
It's a prequel to The Dark Knight. It's the Joker from that movie.
All right, that's fair.
And then another actor's just gonna be playing him. Even though Nolan said, I'm not bringing him back for the 3rd movie. Whatever.
He didn't, to be fair. But
He-
no, I get
he
your
didn't.
point. Now,
Against Nolan's wishes.
well, that's what I was saying. I remember I mentioned this online the other day. I said, like, the only person I think ranks up there with Heath Ledger in terms of Jokerness is Mark Hamill. Just, like, through voice acting.
Mark Hamill,
Yeah.
I agree. He's probably the best Joker.
But yeah, I agree. It's going to be extremely hard to follow up that performance of Heath Ledger. I don't want to say impossible, but it's about as close to impossible as you're going to get.
I think, okay.
It's just
we need to move on.
It's
from
a
this
sign of the
topic.
industry.
This is making me physically stressed out, this topic. So we're going to move on to X-Men. We're going to talk about X-Men comic book movies
All right,
instead.
sounds good.
The New Mutants and X-Men Dark Phoenix release dates pushed. I saw this coming from a mile away. They're experiencing a lot of trouble at 20th Century Fox. They don't know what their future is in terms of who's going to own them or whatever. And on top of that, their film, The New Mutants, which was a horror movie, that's how it was marketed, it tested badly with a test audience, very badly. So they're reshooting most of it to turn it into some other goddamn movie. And it's exactly what they did with Fan Four Stick. And not only that, Dark Phoenix, I have a lot of, okay, Dark Phoenix is the next big X-Men movie, right? It's being done by the writer of the previous movies, who's never directed a movie in his life. He's writing and directing it. Which, previously, Tom Cruise's The Mummy is an example of this happening. So, what do you guys think about the future of the X-Men?
I never really watched them to begin with. Like I've watched like the Wolverine movies, like I watched Logan and all that, but that was probably the one superhero franchise that never really caught on with me. You know, like, except for I guess Deadpool would count as well, but
It's so massive. It's basically as big as the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
At some point, it probably might get absorbed maybe in like the next generation.
Yeah, think about that. It's the only other cinematic universe going that's really worked. You know what I mean? Like other companies tried it. DC, you know, the Mummy, the Ghost Corps. They were going to do a Ghostbusters one.
I think we're
It's
at
the
this
only one that
we're at
worked.
this point where we're kind of like in that between generation gap where it's like I'd say like the early like
We're burning
aughts.
out.
In the early aughts, we had like all these like X-Men movies that actually did like financially
Yeah, they
well.
did
But
very well,
they always
exactly.
do financially well. That's the thing. They're a reliable brand.
And they had a reliable like cast of actors as
Oh
well.
yeah, exactly. I think they got their souls locked down in a basement somewhere because they just keep on appearing in these things and just doing Oscar movies on the side. There must be a hell of a
Or
contract.
being in Westworld, one of the two.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But
But
that's coming back too. I'm excited for that. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
so the future of X-Men is so shaky, and the peak of Marvel is coming, Avengers: Infinity War, which I think should be a topic of discussion, don't you?
Yeah, sure.
We could talk about that instead of Annihilation.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so do
Annihilation
you
also
think
good, though.
we're approaching the singularity of superhero movies, and as soon as like a horrible bomb comes out of Fox that's X-Men related, or Avengers: Infinity War makes people tired of it, like they hop off the train, do you think we're about to hop off the superhero train?
I think we're going to see an expansion of the superhero genre. Like you look at something like, take Logan for example. Logan was a superhero movie that was also a Western. I think that's very well done.
Yeah.
And like you look at, I'm trying to think of other examples too, but like I feel like you can branch out into other genres.
Definitely.
Kind of like how horror can be sci-fi, horror can be action, it can be whatever. I think a superhero can be whatever you want it to be.
Yes, but apparently it's not working out well for Fox. They're doing all those reshoots, and Disney has demonstrated no inclination of branching out into other,
think-
genres.
Sort of with the success of Wolverine as almost like a bookend to the entire character.
Right.
For now, at least.
Of course.
I think Disney might look to probably do that with their own individual franchises that are heroes in the series.
Yeah.
I'd say Black Panther, a lot of people are going to want that. So I think post Avengers, I think we'll at least get another film at the very least.
Yeah, yeah. I just hope Disney doesn't say, like, we need a Logan. Let's get Obi-Wan in the desert, and we'll make it a Western. Because, that's probably what they're going to end up doing. So I think Disney's far too cynical to take the real risks, or the risks that are going to, matter, or, that sort of
If you
thing.
think about it, like, sort of, Avengers is going to become this whole tentpole kind of movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think we'll see maybe Disney perhaps trying to do something a bit more creatively, like, different.
Yeah.
Maybe adapt some of their more, like, adventurous comic book movies.
And if they bomb, they bomb.
They bomb.
Like Disney's like a
have
Hydra.
Avengers.
Cut one head off, two more take its place. Anyway, we are. No, we're not going to break yet, but we got one more thing to talk about.
Yes.
We got Colin Trevorrow returning to direct Jurassic World 3. Now, if they're bringing back that guy, that means that J.A. Bayona really dropped the goddamn ball. Have you guys seen the trailer for Jurassic, the sequel?
I have seen it, yeah.
It doesn't look very good, does it?
I mean, I think it'll be all right.
It just seems like your basic, let's save the animals from this impending doom.
Yeah, it
And
seems
I
super
agree.
basic, and it
it's very
doesn't seem
It's
exciting.
very sequel-y, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I heard somebody talk about this. They said like how normally the sequel to a good movie will be some type of video game. It's like we have to go to all these different places and do like these same action sequences here, here, and here. And I could kind of see that for this new one. That I could see that happening.
Here's what I think happened. You know how Disney, they made J.J. Abrams made Force Awakens. They let Ryan Johnson do Jedi, and now they brought J.J. Abrams back to do Star Wars 3, right? I think they're just kind of doing the same thing with Colin Trevorrow. They're like, oh, it worked the first time. Let's stop taking risks with the other guys and just bring them back in. And interestingly enough, Colin Trevorrow was going to do Star Wars 3 for a little while. So I guess this is his fallback project.
Now the question I would have for you, we're talking about like stop taking risks and bring the old people back. Do you think that's bad?
Huh?
Like from a commercial perspective, do you think that could you see why they're doing that? Because I understand like from an artistic perspective it might not be good, but from a commercial standpoint I can understand it.
Of course, yes. But the thing is, with the way blockbuster like filmmaking works, I think, if you look at something from, let's say, the '90s, look at Jurassic Park, it had to do things to grab people's attention, like make a giant robot dinosaur and stuff like that. But now what people are looking for in the blockbusters, I don't think it's the exciting content. I think it's the formula that they're kind of used to seeing, that they want to see it play out and like hit the right dopamine signal responses.
Get
and then,
that same nostalgia factor.
Get that sameness with just enough different where you can talk about the specifics.
It's like formula versus evolution. Like which one are you really looking for there? I think you're right.
I think they're perfecting the formula, and people are starting to kind of lull into it. And general audiences don't really care that much if something takes a risk or whatever.
Makes sense.
All right, we're gonna go to break, and when we come back, we'll talk about something or other. See you in a minute.
Yep.
Hi everybody, Blake Bosmerman here with Sneak Peek. We're today looking at the film If I Leave Here Tomorrow, a Lynyrd Skynyrd story, and we're taking a look back at the nearly 40-year career of one of the most legendary bands in the name of Southern rock. So let's go check out and see what the cast and crew had to say. How did it feel looking back on just such a long and storied and genre-defining career in the terms of like, I don't think there's a teenager in the South that doesn't know y'all's songs. I'd love to see just how it sounded looking back. Whoever wants to start.
Oh man, you know what? For me, there's stuff that Steven found that we haven't seen, so it was really cool for that. To go back and look at that, and then I think he did a great job. You know what I mean? It's a positive thing about Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's not a negative thing. It's about the real deal, and I'm looking forward to everybody seeing it. Who's here tonight?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not me looking back. I mean, to me, the story is totally alive and really present. I mean, it took place in the 70s, but it's such a vibrant and kind of exciting story, you know what I mean? And the music just lives on. So I can't imagine what it's like for someone to sit through watching what we did, basically going, here's your life. You know what I mean? This is your life, Gary Rossington. But we couldn't have done it without his help and his, he shared his story with us, in a way that I don't think any documentary has captured yet, so.
It was just great seeing old footage of the guys, Ronnie and Alan and Steve and all the guys, and how friendly and how close we were as a family and brothers. And we just loved each other, It's good to see that again, because we're still playing and we got different things going on, but that's one life, and this is another, which is great. And he's got enough footage to do 5 more movies, so we'll be doing this
I think
forever.
what Stevie got out of this for me was that Skynyrd's a big family. It really is. And every family goes through triumphs and tragedies, and
Did you see the
we'll
trailer
go watch
for
it now.
Chappaquiddick?
What? Welcome back to the Sneak Peek podcast. All right, we're going to have a conversation about the film Ready Player One,
Indeed.
which I have not seen. Rohan, have you seen Ready Player One?
I've seen bits.
Bits and pieces?
Bits and pieces.
Okay, and I know about Ready Player
Yes,
One.
I've seen the movie.
I'm going to preface, I have not seen it because to me, I agree with you. I think it's a product of its time, and I feel like it's just the epitome of member berries. You know member berries from South Park?
Yes.
It's like Member Berries the movie, and that sits badly with me. So I want to hear about the movie.
Yes. Okay. So first, I'm going to tell you, I'd probably give the movie about a 6.5 out of 10. Okay. So
That's harsh coming from you.
yes, decent, like not fantastic. Because see, here's my thoughts on it. Right. That I know people are mad about all the references, and I get that.
Yeah.
But if you saw the trailer or if you read the book, that's what you knew coming in. Like you're going to be inundated with references coming in. So I can't hold that too much against them. So like it'd be like if instead of like let's say that they didn't show a single reference to anything and then you were inundated with it, then I could see the anger there. But I think going into it, most people would probably know. Now, one thing I will say, one thing I liked about the movie, is that they changed a fair amount of things from the book, but they changed it for the better.
Okay.
In terms of like a lot of the things in the book were fun, but they wouldn't be entertaining when portrayed on screen. In terms of like you had people like playing arcade games against monsters and all that, which is interesting in a book, but like it's really hard to just show 2 people at an arcade table.
But were the references distracting? Did it get gratuitous?
I think there were a few references that were distracting for me. One is they did tone down the 80s references. That like they made it less 80s. They actually made it less obscure. Because there was a lot of stuff that like even I had trouble like getting the reference to very quickly. I had to Google a lot of stuff while reading the book.
Okay.
But like here, it's become a little bit more blatant. Like at one point, they do have a Minecraft reference, which I was not a big fan of.
What the fuck?
But in terms of like the CGI and the action sequences, all those are top notch.
Okay.
Yes.
But did they have to do The fucking Shining? is my question.
I think I'm fine with that. Yeah.
That's what's been bothering me. I heard
Yeah.
about the movie. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling it for you,
no.
Rohan, but they go into The Shining in a part of the movie, and to me, it's like a trial. It's like a video game, right? They like enter that. So to me, The Shining is something that it's like sacred ground. That really rubs me the wrong way, because I always thought The Shining would be safe from this, this remake culture and everything, and that Kubrick would be like, untouchable, even for Spielberg. I feel like that's not something that would be his idea that he'd be enthusiastic about. The studio probably said, we want this, and then he's like, I'll do it the best I
at
can.
that point, like, why not just take one of Spielberg's like IPs?
Yeah, take one of
hold on.
Spielberg's.
He specifically said he didn't want to reference his own stuff.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now, and I think one thing about that, the reason why I think they did The Shining is, I'm just guessing here, I don't know who owns what.
Right.
I assume that they also own The Shining, whoever made
Probably,
the movie.
yeah.
Because in the book, they used a similar scene, but it was Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
They made it The Shining.
Yes.
I thought it was a thing in the book.
No, it wasn't in the book, no.
That kind of pisses me off,
I think
dude.
it's an ownership type thing, because also, like, they did that with a number of things. Like, the Iron Giant in the movie was not the Iron Giant in the book. It was something else. And so,
Really?
yeah, they were changing it, I think, based on who owned what.
Was it the
So they
Iron
really-
Giant the animated?
What?
Like, was the Iron Giant the animated like film, like character?
I
Yes,
don't know.
No, yeah, okay,
Yeah?
so yes, in Ready Player One, the Iron Giant is used, yes, the one from the animated movie. However, in the book, he is not used. It's somebody else instead.
So they took the book and they made it into like more of an 80s thing, like more of a product?
yeah, it depends on like how you look at it. Like, it was less 80s, but more references in general.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I feel like the movie then stumbles onto like it's pitching towards a unique audience, like sort of like
Yeah.
if you made a movie
Pop
for
culture
Dune,
geeks.
like Dune,
Yeah.
right? There are going to be parts where a lot of the audience is going to be like, I liked it or I didn't, and I think Spielberg is mainly marketing this film for it.
Spielberg is probably like the most like competent filmmaker ever in history. Like he could do anything. So I think it's a pretty safe choice putting it in his hands. I'll have to see it because I am a fan of Spielberg, and I'm not really. I mean, I wouldn't compare Ready Player One to Dune. You know what I mean? But I mean, like I see where you're coming from in terms of.
Yeah. Now I will say I think that, like I said, like the expanding of the references to like not just the 80s, I think was a poor idea in terms of like you said that if people like that niche, they're gonna love the movie. But here it's like if they're throwing in like Tom Sawyer by Rush and Minecraft at the same time, there's not a lot of overlap.
That's
there.
sensory overload.
Now I will say. I didn't know I wanted to see Jason Voorhees fight a Ninja Turtle, but once I saw it, I enjoyed it. So
Wow.
there were certain things I like. Also, I will mention too that, like the character interaction was average at best. Like,
Yeah, how were the characters? Were the people that were the star of the movie interesting?
So I think what it is that they were not the best part of the movie, and they also weren't the best part of the book. So I really can't fault them. They weren't working off the best characters. In the
Okay,
book.
so they're kind of like surrogates for audience surrogates?
Yes, the characters are almost plot devices.
Okay.
They are things to deliver the action, to deliver the references, that kind of stuff.
Well, that is what it is, and that's what
Yeah.
Spielberg's best at.
Now it does have the fellow. I think it's Ben Mendelsohn, the guy that played Krennic in Rogue One.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah,
guy.
he does great in the movie, and Simon Pegg does great as well.
Simon Pegg. I didn't even
Simon
know he was
Pegg
in
is
it.
in it, yeah, so-
Okay, I'll have to see Ready Player
Yeah.
One. But there's a topic that's kind of tied to this that I think we should discuss, and it's video game movies. I believe with this opening, I think it's the most successful video game movie ever.
I think so,
Ready
yeah.
Player One. It's not even a video game movie,
Yes.
technically. It's
It's a movie
based on a
about video
book.
games, yeah.
Yeah. So what's the deal with video game movies?
What's the deal?
What is the deal? Okay, we just had Tomb Raider come out.
Yes.
Right? And Tomb Raider didn't do well because it just didn't grab people or something. I think they didn't lean into the angle of female-led action movie enough, because Atomic Blonde did that in its marketing, and it fucking worked wonders for them.
Yeah.
But
and
yeah.
The reason why I think video game movies don't work too well is that video games at their core are interactive. It's about what you're doing in the game.
Well, yeah, of course, there's that argument. I disagree. I think a video game can be turned into a good movie as long as you capture like the best experiences, from
Yes.
and try to replicate the mood, the atmosphere.
In fact, I want to counteract my own point there because I actually just disagree with myself. Because
Oh, wow.
I'm thinking about the genre of like watching people play games, like let's plays and all that. Like you have people online that do that all the time, Twitch streaming and all that.
Yeah,
So, like,
exactly.
if that is successful, I guess I don't see why.
Yeah, if you can watch it detached, like remotely, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're similar in a lot of ways. The Silent Hill movies, the first two anyway, they're not great, but they captured the atmosphere of the games really well, and they treated the source material with a lot of reverence. Counterpoint to that, the Resident Evil franchise, which is the
Directed
most
by, Paul Thomas
W.S.
Oh, yeah. So
Paul W.S. Anderson, who that's the most successful video game movie franchise around, and it treats the games with no reverence whatsoever. The main character
just
isn't
an
in the
aesthetic.
games.
Yeah.
The game characters are just her foil, and it's just a vehicle for his wife.
Now, I do want to throw a video game movie at you. I know I mentioned it to you before. I don't know if I mentioned it to you, Ron. But you ever seen Uno the movie?
No.
Okay. Uno the movie is the most successful, critically speaking, video game adaptation of all time. It's got, I think it's a 9.7 on IMDb with 10,000 votes. It was the highest ranked comedy on IMDb at one point. The budget for it was way less than $1 million.
Is this a bit? I really can't tell.
No, this is an actual film.
This is a real
you
movie.
Can look this up. Yes.
I thought he was just
No,
like
this
in
isn't
the
like
zone with
Clue.
a
Yeah, no,
bit.
it's a psychological horror film about it's about 4 men.
Uno?
Yes.
Okay.
Draw 4.
No, it's about 4
Four
men
victims.
who gradually go insane while playing a game of Uno. And what it is, they've set up the rules so that it's almost essentially impossible to win. So it's just them going through playing the game and just going nuts the entire time.
Okay. When was this released? Why have I not heard of it? Where is it?
November 2016.
Is it on the internet?
Yes, it's all on YouTube. You can get
It's all on YouTube. Go pause this podcast right now and go watch Uno the movie.
all 3 hours of
We're
it.
live.
Oh God, you spit on my face.
Sorry.
Anyway, yes, 3-hour-long Uno movie. Are you serious?
This is a real thing.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, you learn something new every day. All right, folks. What I think we've got now is a recorded segment. Do we have a recorded segment, Chris? I don't know. Yes.
Yes.
Yes!
Yes!
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Well, we're going to go to a recorded segment, and we'll be right back to talk about another thing, right?
Yes.
You guys cool with that?
Why
I'm in.
not?
All right, see you in a minute.
Hi, I'm Catherine Hartfold here with Sneak Peek, and we're at the South by Southwest premiere of First Reformed with Paul Schrader and Ethan Hawke. You've starred in a variety of films over your career, and I was wondering, how was preparing for this role different than preparing from any of your other roles?
Well, in the life of an actor, you spend a great deal of time trying to fix scripts. A lot of times scenes don't work or aspects of storytelling are broken. Part of your job is they pay you to either fix them or make sure nobody notices. And in the case of working with Paul Schrader, the script was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I was making this movie during, right after the inauguration, and it was a time period where I felt there was a huge amount of confusion in people about where to put their confusion and anger and disorientation about what was happening. And Paul's script kind of was speaking directly towards that, and it made us all feel really proud to be able to be working on something that was asking such interesting questions.
Yeah, he's written like so many great scripts, so I would assume this one is great too.
It's a cut above.
Okay, and also what research did you do? Because this is a pretty dense role, and so I was wondering if you did anything specific to prepare for it, as far as what you looked at, or.
You know, in a lot of ways, I felt very prepared. This character spoke to me so much. I felt ready to play it the second I read it. I hope that doesn't sound lazy or anything. It spoke to me so much. So many of his questions were questions that I have. I have so many family members that, and hopefully I do myself too, take their spiritual life so seriously. My grandmother always wanted me to be a priest, and so I felt ready for this part when it came to me. I was grateful that it was the right time in my life.
That's really interesting. So what are you hoping that the audience leaves feeling after they see this movie?
No, I don't like to have an agenda with the audience. You want to make something that makes you feel, and because my feeling is that when you do that, when you stir things up in yourself, like-minded people are stirred up. But if you have a big agenda like, oh, I want them to think this way, I want them to vote against tax reform B, I hate that. I don't know why. I don't want to be preached to any more than anybody else does, and so I don't. I love when movies ask questions that make you think and make you ask yourself what you believe, and so I have a lot of faith. When I closed the script, I was really rattled, and I didn't know what to think, but I was glad that somebody shook up my thinking, and that's what I hope the movie does.
And last question, we're film students at UT, and we were wondering what advice you have for filmmakers in college.
Sneaky suspicion you guys might be film students. There was an earnestness and a seriousness to your questions that I thought, I like these people. Life would be so easy if there were cute little expressions of advice really worked.
Yeah.
The truth is you have to pay attention to your friends and yourself, and that I always think that the answer is usually in your friends, in the friendships that you make, and in your generation, and in you finding like-minded people that want to tell stories that interest you, and sparking off each other and calling each other out and challenging each other to be better. You got to do it. You got to put your throat out there, make yourself vulnerable, get your head bitten off. It'll grow back.
I was wondering if your past work influenced this film at all, or?
Actually, only in the obverse. This film is unlike anything I've done. You know, I had to learn how not to move the camera, whereas I had spent decades learning how to move it.
A lot of your characters that you have written have had challenging paths, and I was wondering, how do you create character empathy even when the characters may be morally flawed?
You try to limit the viewer's escape routes. You try to lock them in so that they have nowhere to go. And finally, after about 45 minutes, they start to identify. Then you can veer off and do odd things with the characters.
We're film majors at UT, and I was wondering if you had any advice for film majors in college right now?
Yeah, buy good shoes.
Welcome back to the Sneak Peek podcast. Now, we're going to talk about a news item. Recently, the Freddie Mercury biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody, Bryan Singer was fired from the directing chair, and he's just been replaced by Dexter Fletcher. He made a film called Eddie the Eagle.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
It was probably a good indie movie. I don't know anything about it, but
Is he related to Dexter from Dexter's Lab?
hopefully not.
Okay.
I don't
That
want
would
to
be a
Yeah,
disaster.
but anyway, the interesting thing about this Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, Bryan Singer, a long time ago, he was fired from the movie, supposedly because he was throwing shit at Rami Malek and everything. And yeah, he maybe had been fired from the movie, but he's still in charge of. Let's see, I think there are 15 properties, major blockbusters coming out under the Fox label that are being produced or executive produced by Bryan Singer. And you guys know all about the stuff that happened with Bryan Singer, all the controversy.
Yeah, another scumbag.
Not recently.
You haven't heard about his controversy?
I have not.
Okay, well,
Please elaborate.
Bryan Singer is infamous for being a pedophile who is addicted to methamphetamine.
Isn't this a fun podcast, everybody?
Yeah, exactly. But dude,
Is this the bit?
no, it's not a bit. It's actually true.
Oh.
According to a lot of reports, he's been involved with horrible activity of that flavor in parties that other celebrities have shown up to, including Kevin Spacey. However, Bryan Singer is still at large, and nobody seems interested in taking the guy down. And he's such a prolific Hollywood figure. I just think it's since it's all been pretty thoroughly proven in their testimonies and everything. He should probably lose his job.
Yeah,
right?
probably so. I agree.
Probably. I think so. Right?
Do you have any reason why?
Would you let a meth-addicted pedophile run your studio? Now you guys know all about Bryan Singer. By the way, he directed all of the X-Men films pretty much. He's directed Jack the Giant Slayer. The guy's all over the place. He's still working left and right. So yeah, now you guys know. We got another segment.
Yeah, let's talk about the biopics, though, because that was an interesting topic.
Oh, yeah. You brought this up at the... that the game that we should do is we cast our own biopics where we pick somebody and an actor and a director to make the dream biopic.
Yes, and I have mine already.
What is it?
Okay, it'd be a biopic on Andre the Giant, and he's played by Peter Dinklage.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And you do it through CGI?
No, it's just done. It's like Wishbone.
It's just a leap of faith you got to make before you watch the movie. It's like he's going to be a 10-foot tall man.
It'll be directed by Mandy Patinkin from
Mandy Patinkin?
He directed episodes of
That guy from the Elmo movie?
No, the guy from Princess Bride.
Yeah, he's also from the Elmo
Well, that's
movie,
not where I
Elmo
know
in
him from.
Grouchland. He played
Okay.
the villain.
He also directed episodes of Criminal Minds. He can do it.
What a multi-talented fella.
Anyway, that would be mine.
I think
Either
that's a
that
great
or,
idea.
Or Teddy Roosevelt starring Nick Offerman, one of the two.
Oh, that's a nice choice
Thank
too. Mine would be, I think, a Yoko Ono biopic, and I pick Gilbert Gottfried to play Yoko Ono. Like, John, why don't we go down to the lake and just cuddle with it? You know, that sort of thing.
You need to get some Affleck.
It'll be called Oh No. Anyway, what's yours, Rohan?
My dream biopic would be a mix between a Cheech and Chong biopic mixed in with remakes of episodes or scenes from the films.
Wait a minute, you're gonna do a clip show of Cheech and Chong?
It's like they remake the clips like they do in the Disaster Artist.
Can I throw an idea at you?
Oh, it's about Cheech and Chong making the movies.
Yeah.
That would be pretty
Let
cool.
me throw an idea at you, though. For like when they're like reenacting it or whatever, can Cheech play Chong and Chong play Cheech?
Well, no, like the whole point it would just be like a different like brand of like a different group of actors coming in.
I like the idea. You got anything else? It can be called Up in what's the word?
Up in Smokes.
Up in Smokes with plural. It's the second one, like Aliens. I love it.
Yeah.
I love this idea. Anyway, this has been a dumb fucking segment.
Yeah,
we're gonna.
Anyway, let's talk about our recommendation of the week.
Let's talk about our recommendation of the week.
Yeah.
We all agreed that we are gonna recommend Annihilation.
No.
No, not Uno the movie. We're gonna recommend Annihilation. And Annihilation, like, not only was it such an experimental and like interesting and evocative and science fiction movie, but it also had pretty much an all-female cast. It was you like women, right?
Sometimes.
There were like 5 women.
Actually,
and
I take that all the time. I take that.
all the time, of course. But there are like 5. The 5 women. They're the main characters. It's like that movie, The Descent. Have you ever seen The Descent? That's one of my favorite horror movies.
That's a good movie.
It's really good. But anyway, The Annihilation is one of my favorite movies of this year, and I think everybody should watch it. I think it's coming on Netflix soon because it tanked so bad that it's going to. I mean, I feel really bad for Alex Garland, you know, because it's so goddamn good, and everybody should see it. Most original thing I've seen in a while.
Nice, that's cool.
Real cool designs for the creatures.
I love. How was the sound design? Because it sounded really cool. in
God, the
theater.
sound design was fantastic. I don't want to go into spoilers for this. My neck just cracked really loud. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I don't
good
want
sound design.
I don't want to go into spoilers for Annihilation because I really want our viewers to watch it. I'll just say that there's a really cool moment of sound design when a certain creature mimics human speech in a real interesting way, and it's like the way that the sound is manipulated is just eerie. So
You know, that's also Gilbert Gottfried. He's just a creature
really,
mimicking human speech.
he actually said Affleck. That's what he said. But yeah, Annihilation, really good. Have you seen Annihilation?
I have not.
Well, why didn't I ask you that earlier? You should have gotten your YouTube. What do you think of Annihilation, even though you haven't seen it?
My preview. I think I'd like to see Natalie Portman in more movies because I feel like
I agree with you.
out of like all the child actors, you know, I feel like she hasn't been given a fair shake.
I would agree with you. I think Ethan said something like that she wrote and directed a movie. It was like the craziest thing he's ever seen. I don't buy that for a second.
Wait, who did? Sorry.
Oh, Ethan. Yeah, Ethan said that Natalie Portman wrote and directed a movie and it was amazing, and that took me so by surprise.
That was Star Wars: Attack of the Clones.
But yeah, apparently she's off doing that stuff. I've always thought that Natalie Portman was just like, she's an actress, you know what I
Right.
mean? Where sometimes like she's basically the same in a lot of stuff, but sometimes she reaches a level of competence that it could be subtlety.
Like I
and it
just
wouldn't
felt
make a
like she
difference.
didn't get enough like credit, perhaps like for Jackie.
Jackie, I didn't see Jackie.
Oh yeah.
Jackie was like an incredibly good performance,
Oh yeah,
but it just
I heard the
kind of got
movie
overshot.
itself was not as good as the performance
Right.
was. So that's interesting. I guess I've never given Natalie Portman that much thought as an actress. I liked her in Black Swan, but I thought that's because of the filmmaking surrounding her more than in like their co-act. Like Mila Kunis did an incredible job in that movie. So I don't know. I think she's adequate, and I think she works really well in this movie. She gets the point across well enough. So yeah, but it's interesting stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to see it. It looks pretty good.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Annihilation?
Yes,
Oh yeah, Annihilation.
Annihilation.
That's
Annihilation.
right.
See it.
So anyway, so how do we want to close this podcast off? You know, we kind of always do the same thing where we just say goodbye.
Well, there's one thing I'd like to point out. We do have a show. Also.
We do have a there's a show. Yeah, I'm not.
Thursdays at 9:30. You can watch that on, I guess, our website, whatever it's called. I can't remember the name of it right now. Just look at our YouTube channel right afterwards. It'll be there too. But yeah, we do all kinds of goofy stuff. So come check us out.
That's the real show. We are but a limb, but an extension of the show. This isn't even the whole deal. There's so much more.
We're one head of the Sneak Peek Hydra.
Oh yes, exactly. And you got anything to plug? Oh, Rohan's gonna be at the Chuckle Hut on Saturday night.
I will be.
And
not like doing comedy. He's just gonna be there.
Yeah, he's just gonna be there.
I'll
He likes
just be in the
burgers.
back.
Yeah, the back.
I'll just be in the back.
I don't know. I lost track.
Wait,
of
I
it.
actually can plug a few things.
You want to plug? Go plug.
Okay, so basically, after this weekend, every weekend, the theater troupe Foot in the Door is going to be having a performance of the first week, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
Oh, shit.
The next week, 39. Actually, sorry, the first week would be Apocalypse Later, which is a student-produced and written show.
I love all these clever twists on classic material.
The second weekend will be Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. And then the third week would be 39 Steps.
Fucking shit, man. Count me in.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a wonderful Sunday.
Happy Easter.
Passover.
Oh, yeah, Passover.
I don't know how long that was.
I think he'll throw in
you
like
know what?
About 50 minutes. Yeah, we were good.
50 minutes?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm going to ask them.